It's a great pleasure to introduce Nir Alon. We're here in the Japanese Museum in Haifa.
Yes, actually the formal name of the museum is Tikotin Museum of Japanese Art. This museum was founded by the founder of the museum, Felix Tikotin, in 1960, by him and by the city of Haifa. A house for Japanese art, traditional and contemporary. Many famous and important Japanese artists are presenting their artworks here during the exhibitions. Very nice museum. Please come and visit us in Haifa. That's it.
And Nir, you were mentioning about the governor's house?
Yes, the office, the house that was built behind the museum, much before the museum, is actually the house of the British governor of Haifa, Friedrich Kish. It's called Kish House. He was built during the 1940s. Kish himself didn't live here for long. He was sent to the front during World War II. A little bit after he finished his house, then he was killed during the war, and his widow donated the house to the city of Haifa. It's now our office of the museum.
It's wonderful. And it's very peaceful. It's so nice here.
This is the house of the British governor of Haifa, Friedrich Kish, built by the architect Shmuel Rozov. This specific architect used to build a lot of houses on top of the mountain Carmel. Actually, when you talk about Haifa and you talk about the building of Haifa, you have two famous architects, Berwald, that built the lower parts of Haifa, and Shmuel Rozov that built most of the parts here in Carmel Mountain. Most of the old houses that he built is a little bit Art Deco style, like this house. So that's the house of the governor of Haifa, Friedrich Kish.
And this was the only house that was...
When it was built here, it was the only house in the area during the 1940s. That was the garage of the car.
And it's really it's connected to the museum.
Yes.
Wonderful. Introducing Eti.
Eti Glassman, nice to meet you. And we have a great opportunity to see an exhibition by Yasuhiro Suzuki, a Japanese quite young designer, artist designer. Suzuki was born in 1979, and some of his works are really pure artworks and not designs, as you see here. This is the work Turn Over Water's Edge. And as you can see, Suzuki do an analogy between a book and waves. Why this analogy? Because when we look from the side of the book, the pages look like waves. And as we see in his illustrations, he just thinks about people who stand in two distant shores, and the waves are the element that connects people and separates them.
It's magnificent. Really, really nice. And this is his first exhibit outside Japan.
Yes, this is his first solo exhibition. This work is a interreflection. And as we see, the shadow of the chairs creates musical notes. And that's why the disc is round. It looks like a record, a real record. And of course, another layer is the chairs that we see in front of us in the video. And we see from the very tiny one to the biggest one. And as we see several or different sizes, we search for the size that suits our body.
It's amazing. And you know, the youngsters don't know so much what a record is anymore.
Yes, yes, you're right.
This is incredible.
Yes, you're right.
This is really magnificent.
And what does it look like? What does it look like?
It's like the stars in
Like the stars.
galaxy.
But they are all photos of an apple. Because apple, just a minute, I will clean overview. Okay. Because a specific type of apple has white dots on it. And Suzuki says that somewhere in the world there is one apple that the dots on the apple are exactly match the constellations of the star in the sky.
It's amazing.
So you see the shape of the apple? It keeps the shape of the apple in each one of them.
Wow, this is amazing.
Leslie, look how beautiful the
Telescope.
and this one.
Oh, it's amazing. Sure.
And these are the apples.
That's phenomenal.
As you can see, each one has its own sky.
This is very unique.
Really unique. This is not a, industrial design because you cannot use it. And this work is an ideal pencil. Why it's ideal? Because all of them are white. But because the prism, thanks to the prism, we get colorful pencils. So it breaks the white into the various colors.
Color pencil glass.
This work marked his beginning as an artist. He got a special prize, the NHK Digital Award. And what we see here is a projection during daytime and nighttime of carousel with children playing on it. But since the shadow of the children, if you see here the illustration, since the shadow of the children playing on the carousel looked like the continents, Suzuki just did an analogy between the carousel and the earth.
It's quite unbelievable. The globe jungle.
He has a lot of humor, as you can already feel. For example, this is an eye lotion dropper. But why it's in the shape of a gun? Because we all share the same experience that when we try to put eye lotion, we feel like we are pointing a gun. So that's why it turned it into a gun. Or, for example, this is a real watch, but its cover is a sundial. So you can choose if you want to run your life according to the wheel clock, watch, or to the wheel time, or according to the sundial. Or another word that expresses his sense of humor. For example, this is Suzuki's hand, but this is a soap. And Suzuki says you can wash your hand with your hand.
Ah, okay, lovely. Shoot.
סימון לזה שזה
And
לא
this
כל
is
כך כי להבין לעצמך אחד לשני אוויר, זה לא באמת משהו שיש לך מה לעשות אותו. אבל כשכבר מסתכלים על זה מבפנים, אז באמת יש לזה בהבנה יותר כלכותית, יותר מעניינת. אבל כשאנחנו חושבים על זה נראה באמת חסר תועלת. אז זה באמת נותן לכל דבר צריך טיפה לחשוב מעבר מהדבר הראשון שאנחנו רואים. אז אנחנו ניכנס.
Suzuki tries to take the big nature, the huge nature, and to manifest it in a very small item, like the constellation of the star inside an apple, or for example, the ocean inside a book. And this area is about water and the earth. And Suzuki says, where is the border between the public water and the waters we just drink and becomes to be ours? For example, one border is a glass. And as you can see here, two-phase, double-phase glass, it means no matter how you put it, you can use it. And when you look closely, you can see it's a glass inside a glass inside a glass. This is an amazing work because it's a magnet inside a glass with water, and this is in the shape of Japanese islands. And since Hokkaido, we immediately recognize Hokkaido, the northern island. So Hokkaido faces this side. It means that this is the north.
amazing.
And he
A
wanted
compass.
also to prepare one for Israel. But since the borders of Israel is are under question, so we prefer just to leave Japan.
Glass atmosphere, it's amazing.
And who doesn't want just to open the globe and to look inside? From the north face to the south. And the reason this walk is near to this one, because you can see here, Suzuki, when he looked from above on ships that cross the ocean, it looks like a zipper, like they are opening the ocean. So Suzuki said, why not to prepare to create a ship in the shape of the zipper? And this one, this is it.
And he designed this?
Yes, of course, this is him, inside his boat.
Oh, like a zipper. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think the most exciting aspect of his works that he shows us such a simple everyday experience, but in another
Dimension.
view.
Yeah.
Yes, in another view that we start to think, oh, we haven't thought about it, but it's so obvious.
So he designed this ship.
Yes. Zip fastener ship.
It's amazing.
And also this one is a very unique balance scale for lightness, because when we think about a scale, we do not automatically connect it with lightness, more with weight. But since we have here two elements, one is water and the other is air, the specific weight of the air is smaller, is lower than the water, and that's why the air goes up. So if we want to weigh the air, we must turn upside down the scales.
And that's why also the sign is upside down.
Yes. And when the balance should change. When there will be enough air over here, so the balance will change. This is a very Japanese, very, very Japanese artwork because we see here a temple that is called the Silver Pavilion Temple. And there is another one that is called the Golden Pavilion Temple. And the Golden Pavilion is really made of gold. But when we go to visit the Silver Pavilion, it's not made of silver. So Suzuki asked, why, how can I coat or wrap the Silver Pavilion Temple with silver? And the answer is, if it will be of chocolate. So this is Chocolate Silver Pavilion Temple. Here he refers to the Japanese language. He has a huge sensitivity to language, to time, and as we can see here, this is the word flame, which is fire on top of fire. So he designed matches that it's a fire, and when you lit it, it's just fire on top of fire. Or for example, the question mark is a candy. Is a candy container, and just when the candy goes out, it becomes a question mark. This is also very unique. We see here chopsticks with, we call it toe chopsticks, because the chopsticks were invented 5,000 years ago in China. And this is to extend the hands. Why? They used to keep food inside big jars. And in order to reach the bottom, they created the chopsticks. They invented the chopsticks. And here, Suzuki used a kind of edge, which is now the chopsticks, the edge, and connects it with the edge from the other side of the body, the toes, together. And in Japanese, hashi is also with one character is chopsticks, but with another character is edge. And ashi, ashi are legs. So it's ashi no hashi. A beautiful, beautiful work, as we can see here. It's the silhouette of Suzuki himself, and this is a vessel set. And Suzuki says that imagine that each one of us will have a specific vessel set, and we will eat as much as we need, not more than that. And all these parts are all of this. And these are all the dishes that we need in traditional Japanese meal. This is miso paste, sake, it's a side dish, vegetables, usually vegetables, main dish, which is fish or meat, gohan, which is rice, and miso soup, water, and pickles.
Wow.
This is Suzuki's main work. His studio is called Mabataki, blinking. So here is the work blinking leaves. Why blinking leaves? Because Suzuki makes an analogy between the shape of the eye and the shape of the leaf. And there is an open eye and a closed one. So when we put inside, when we put it here inside, we get, if you follow one of them, you will see the blinking effect.
Can one do this again?
Maybe I'll take a photo of you, a video of you.
Okay, wow. Oh, this is really something.
Just a minute, that I'll not, it's working? Ah, okay.
So you'll put this inside.
amazing idea. It's incredible. Wow. What a phenomenal idea. And that is his eyes. That is...
Yes, yes. And also here, this is his eyes. And, oh, the blinking. This is a blinking time. I'm not familiar with anyone that will buy a clock that works on the basis of blinking, because it's not a real clock. Suzuki says that sometimes we watch a dial and we wait till it, moves, and when it moves, we blink, and we feel like we lost this time, this moment, and it takes all the moments that we lost in life and build a clock.
It's amazing.
So we just need to stand in front of Suzuki's eyes and wait until he will blink. Sometimes when Suzuki blinks, also the people are blinking. Here, the visitors. So they get annoyed because they lost time of Suzuki.
It's amazing. This is such a novel idea.
And here is Suzuki from his back, figure from the back. And usually when we see a figure from the back, we naturally go and look for the front. But there is no front side, only the back side.
Just the back side, wow. You see from different angles, sure. Self-portrait puzzle.
Self-portrait puzzle, but the self-portrait is not of the artist, is of just anyone who
It's a mirror.
Yes, it's a mirror. And someone said something very nice. He said, oh, it's so wonderful we can take off the part that we don't like.
Gee, that's so clever. It's amazing.
Okay. Here Suzuki examines the meaning, the origin of the word future. Future in Japanese is mirai. Mi, not yet, and rai is coming, not yet coming. So what is not yet coming? Why future is not yet coming? Because we see here the land, and then we see a new sprout, and of course the anaphene branches, and we see here a tree. But this is also a tree, but it's not yet. Why? Because the fruits
They haven't
come yet.
Sure.
So the future is when the fruits will come. So this is the future. This will be the future. This is a very simple walk, but it's the favorite of Suzuki. And we see here stamps of Hove Avar, past, present, and here, there. So when we look at the stamp, we see present. But when we stamp it, we stamp past, because it's already past. We stamped it. And also here, it was what is close to us. But when we stamp it, we stamp there, because it's over there.
Yeah.
It's not close anymore.
It's really, really amusing.
This is a stamp bucket, and what creates the rings of the tree is the drop of water. And according to the water, we can tell the age of the tree. This is not a usual metronome, because it is nature's time metronome. Why? Because in a conventional metronome, you cannot measure until 10,000 years. And this metronome you can set to 10,000 years or 1,000 years or 100 years. So if you have this option, of course you can measure the time of the growing time of a tree or other natural phenomena. This is a traditional Japanese game called kendama, and Suzuki only changed the round red ball into an apple. Why? Because Newton's law began with an apple. And this game, you just lose the string, you throw it up in the air, and you need to catch it.
Okay.
This is Suzuki setting the metronome, and you'll be able to see also the...
Unbelievable.
This is a very small part of our collection. There are color woodblock prints, and there are netscape, the small figurines, the inro, the containers, or we have here parts of swords, as you can see here. These are all from the Tikotin collection, at least most of them. And you can see here also a sword from the 14th century.
This is from the...
Yes.
Is it a samurai?
It belonged to a samurai, probably a very important one, because all the ornaments on these swords are in the shape, they are figures of samurais. So it is probably worked very hard, this.
This was opened in 1960.
Yeah, this is a presentation about Felix Tikotin, the founder of the museum. He built the museum, and of course this is his collection, only a small part of it, because the current collection is more than 8,000 items. When the museum was opened, it contained 3,000 items that we got from Tikotin, we received from Tikotin himself. And this is the original floor, as you can see. All of these are woodblock prints. They made, as you probably heard, in the late 19th century and beginning of the 20th century, there was a phenomenon of Japanism. And Japanism was based mainly on the craze around Japanese woodblock prints. This is a technique that the West didn't know about, because in the West there was sheka. It was etching.
Mm-hmm.
And here is about bellet. How do you say? The color is not, you engrave, to create each line must be engraved around to be up, to be raised.
Embossed, a little bit embossed.
Yes, and the color is put on this upper part, and then, so it's like an offset print. It's like an offset print, because the number of the colors that we see here, it's the numbers of the blocks that we need in order to prepare one print. And it's just amazing. This is by Hiroshige, Ando Hiroshige, or Utagawa Hiroshige.
And these are all the originals?
All originals, of course. We do not hold any reproductions. And here the theme is pulling faces. caricature that emphasizes the faces of the figures. The kabuki actors, also over here, kabuki actors. Look how nice it is.
Oh, so expressive.
Yes, so nice. You know, because sometimes people say, oh, the Japanese looks the
Yeah,
same.
but they're not.
But they're not, of course they're not. And this is so beautiful. Because these are all people walking on the Tokaido Road. The Tokaido Road connected Edo, today Tokyo, with Kyoto. And we see various types of people. Horsemen, and we see here people probably doing pilgrims, and they are eating
This is
obento,
amazing.
and lunch boxes,
It's so expressive.
blind people, a priest, monk, priest, a doctor. And the last exhibition is the Japan of Danny Caravan. Danny Caravan was a very famous sculptor in Israel. He just passed away last year. And he did 3 great, huge monumental works in Japan. One is a Muro forest, a big forest of 800 meters that he designed by himself. And another work is at the northern tip of Japan, in Hokkaido, the way to the Hidden Garden. And the last one, in the southern tip of Japan, is Bereshit.
It's called Bereshit.
Yes, it's called Bereshit. And you see, in the beginning, God created the sky and the earth. And this is written as you walk along the 24 meters curtain steel.
And I think here's a video.
You reach the glass, and on the glass it's written, in the beginning God created the sky and the earth.
This is amazing.
Yes, it's amazing.
The southern tip of Japan.
These are in Japan, so we cannot bring it because, you know, it's environmental artworks, a huge one. So we can bring the models, we can bring the videos. Look at this video, it's just amazing. This artwork in Muro, in central Japan, is a masterpiece. It's really a masterpiece. And in 1998, Danny Caravan won the Premium Imperiale Prize, which is equivalent to the Nobel Prize that the imperial family is given each year to prominent artists like Jasper Jones, Robert Rauschenberg, César, George Segal, and among them Danny Caravan was Danny Caravan. Is the only Israeli artist that won this prize.
It's a great honor for Israeli art and for Israeli artists.
This is Amos Beno, he was the ambassador of Israel.
And he's in.
This is all by Danny Caravan. And when he reached Japan, for the first time he reached Japan in 1988, and he said something amazing. He said, when I tried to touch the sunlight, the wind, the flowing water, the moving grains of sand, the trees, I didn't know that there, in the East, generations passed in these simple materials, which is nature itself, conveying ideas, emotions, experiences, harmony, love, faith, and they are material in the Creator's hand. I go to the east, from the east to the land of the rising sun, to absorb the wonders created by the earth that separates the two oceans, to absorb the peace, the restraint, the exceptional.
Look, this is really phenomenal.
This movie is his daughter, Yael Caravan, she's an avant-garde dancer, and she danced in each role made by her father. And she starts this custom in Japan.
Sure, it's amazing.
So this is also
What a special, unique, incredible museum. Wow. And here's I think with the,
this
when
is
he
the
was,
prize. Yes, this is the ceremony. Jasper Jones. All the people that won the
won the
prize.
prize before. It's a big honor. It's a tremendous honor.
This is only a section from the movie Grains of Sand, and it will be projected in the Epos Festival next week. Begins already, I think next week it will begin.
Come with a grain of sand. It's amazing. This is really, really amazing. It's really very special.
In 1995, Danny Caravan exhibited in 7 different museums along Japan. And for each museum, he created special works, site-specific works. It's amazing, just amazing. Completely different. It's not a traveling exhibition that, it's the same.
Thank you so much. In Japan of Danny Caravan. This is the
So we will go to the next building, okay? To see the great
wonderful. We're just going to go through again.
אבל מישהו שיש לו מידע, אתה צריך לחתום, אני מסכימה
This is amazing.